Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of the Sellerboard Show. My name is Vladdy Gordon, and my today's guest is Carlos Alvarez. Carlos is a 9-figure Amazon seller that is more than $100 million in sales per year. Think about this. And basically, we talked about his path, last 15 years in e-commerce, and how he got to this point. He created multiple brands and sold more than 12 brands and had ups and downs. And at the moment, he's a huge seller in different categories. One of the categories is surprisingly interesting. It's live insects. He's selling live insects on Amazon, like worms and roaches. And so I don't know. I was blown away. I didn't even know this exists. So stay tuned. This is going to be really, really interesting and motivating. Before we start, don't forget to press the like button if you like this episode and subscribe to our show because we're making these videos regularly. If you have any questions to us or to the guest, then feel free to post them in the comments. And if you're not a Sellerboard customer yet, or if you've never tried Sellerboard, then go through the link in the description, sellerboard.com. It's our profit analytics service for Amazon sellers. There's 1 month free trial. And it's starting only from $19 a month. And we have a ton of other tools in the package. So profit and knowing your numbers is our key. But there's a PPC optimization module and an inventory manager and a money back module, which will go ahead and search for lost and damaged goods where Amazon owes you money and help you get this money back and a lot of other stuff. So check this out. And now let's start the show. Hey, Carlos, how are you doing?
What's up, man? Glad we made this happen.
Yeah, we rescheduled it a couple of times, right? Busy days, right?
Oh, yeah.
So tell me, like from your business's perspective, how is it going? Like, did you see a crisis or something like this, or do you have more sales, less sales?
Initially, when this hit, and for me, when I say when this hit, I refer to the emails from Amazon, which was we're not accepting any new non-essentials.
Mm-hmm.
We're not even prioritizing non-essentials for shipping. That's when I got hit hard. Prior to that, e-commerce sales were spiking just because of what we were anticipating to come. Mm-hmm. When that happened, a few of my brands, they got hit I lost about 40 to 60% of revenues just overnight. Okay. And then I also have, a strength of my businesses over the last decade and a half has been diversifying off e-commerce. So I've used money, profits, thankfully, that Jeff Bezos gives to me. And then I open up other, brick and mortar like businesses or off Amazon businesses. And those traditional brick and mortars, when they start getting shut down, those went to zero income as well, but you still have overhead, employees. So that was my situation there. Now,
that sounds nice. So Carlos, I think you're a well-known person in this scene, but just for those people who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and about your background in FBA and Amazon.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. We only have an hour, right? No, I'm just kidding.
No. Well, we can do 2 or 3 episodes.
No, I'm no specialized schooling. I was just going nowhere fast as a kid, and I was holding down odd jobs with, delivering subs, selling cigars, working as a dairy clerk in a supermarket, plus starting to, trying to find odd jobs all around that I could get extra money to make my very expensive ex-girlfriend happy. So one of the income things that I stumbled across was eBay back then. So I started selling stuff on eBay, and I was just hooked on the process. So as my eBay business grew, or basically a better way to say this, since we're talking, is since the revenues coming in grew, I assumed, well, I can now start dropping the sub route, or I can start dropping the dairy clerk, and I can focus more on the eBay business and let it grow. Mm-hmm. That kept going. And eventually my friends and family saw that I was doing something that would not end me up in a bad place or on drugs or something like that. So they supported me, and they pulled up about $81,000 to help me launch this business better. Maybe hire someone, get more inventory, that sort of thing. They did. I immediately went to this new supplier I had been dealing with, called Pleasure Chest. Rep's name Elvis, know him to this day, great guy. It was an adult novelties factory in China. And the most profitable product I had was this ring that a guy puts on. We'll leave it at that. And then you get it for 16 cents and sell it for like 20 something bucks.
This was private label, right?
This, I'm going to call it white label, because I wasn't creating a brand around it. I was just removing their logo from it.
Okay.
And that's it. And that was, I hadn't heard of private. As a matter of fact, the term private label didn't even exist back then in the Amazon space. We're talking about close to 15 years ago.
Okay.
And for a while it was just called white labeling. So I decided, I'm getting $81,000 of these. I'm going to be the next Bill Gates. This is it. I go to the factory. They obviously don't have that much in stock. I got frustrated because I didn't understand how a factory didn't just have 80 grand in stock of a product. And I looked for somebody else on Alibaba. Mind you, Alibaba was totally different than what it looks like right now. I mean, we're talking about a decade and a half ago. And I found someone named Usman Sise from factory in Hong Kong, showed me a picture, had all the supplies, and sent him the money, and he stole everything from me. So, I mean, there's no factories in Hong Kong. They're all in mainland China. A simple Google Earth search, as I like to say, could have debunked that this place didn't even exist. Because later on, I eventually send an inspector, and it's an office. It's a closed office building. Like, there's nobody there.
Oh my God! And did
I didn't want my friends.
Did you invest everything or?
Yeah. I was all in. I was all in except for the inventory I had, obviously, because I was doing enough to have quit my different jobs. So I still had that inventory in the mix. I just blew everything else that was loaned to me. And I didn't want everyone to know. So I started selling off the things that I had, which again, were not much. The most expensive thing I owned, and I ignorantly thought, well, this is just going to get me out of everything, was this Movado watch. I like the brand Movado. And I think, come to find out, the watch brand new was like $1,200. And a pawn shop or something was offering me 150 or something. And I'm like, oh my God. So I went to go sell two of my reptiles, and Burmese python, a Colombian red-tailed boa. I like snakes. And the person in front of me in line at this reptile shop, or at this, pet shop, just had reptiles, was paying $25 for 50 live worms. And long story short, I wind up getting into selling live insects in my house. I bred them. My ex had enough. She left. I got the business to a point where I was sending out from the house about 30 units a day at $55 each.
Hold on, you were sending them like via DHL or UPS?
United States Postal Service. Yeah, USPS, priority mail, 2-day delivery. If it was really hot on the other end, I'd put a cool pack inside of it. If it was cold on the other end, I'd put a hot pack. Code enforcement, though.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Roaches, 2 types of worms, and crickets. Well, at the time, it was Jamaican crickets until they got wiped out. But the code enforcement eventually gets wind of this, and they're threatening. They tell me to throw everything outside of the house. At this point, I had to have about 3.5 million, crickets alone. So imagine what that sounds like, right?
Oh my God.
I find a friend, has half a warehouse he'll loan me. I go in there, I continue the business. I work it, sleeping on the floor 90 hours a week. I didn't know my numbers. I'm not sure I know my numbers to this day for that business, but I get approached to sell my business, and I wind up exiting for $2.6 million. And then with that, I partied until I realized, oh my God, if I keep doing this, I'm going to go broke.
You're actually selling them? Was it like Amazon live insects? Is it
eBay and Amazon? Yeah, if you go to Amazon now, a lot of people don't realize it. If you just go to Amazon and say you search for, look for superworms. As a matter of fact, if you look for live superworms, pretty much every single listing for the first few pages is mine.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The weird thing about that category is it's very like it was when I started. So if you go there, you're going to see, several brands, but there is no patent or trademark that you can put on your worm. It's a type of insect. So, and it's all merchant fulfilled. So everyone sells on everyone's listings. It's extremely wild, wild west.
Oh my God, I'm looking at the category page right now. You're right.
Yeah, and you do roaches, worms, crickets. You do a lot.
Okay, I'm so shocked. So tell me, is it a good product to sell now, actually?
It's amazing. I actually sold that business. It exited it. Sold a bunch of businesses since then. When my non-compete ended, I got back in the insect business, and now it's my largest as a brand. It's my largest revenue source, with yet last year breaking a little over 40 million in gross sales.
Oh my God. Okay, go on then. Just continue where you stopped. It was the sale of your business and parting.
Right. So I get this money, which is not $2.6 million after accountants and, everybody puts their hand in it and you pay taxes and everything. I was still left with a nice amount of money, but it was nowhere near that 2.6. Still with no experience in managing money and having more money than I had ever had in my life. I'm recently single. I think it's important to say here too, that throughout this whole process, right now, if you have a software that helps Amazon sellers, or if you sell on Amazon, that's a really cool thing. You're seen as almost like you're entrepreneurial, and it's pretty bad. It's awesome, bad in a good way. But 15 years ago, that was seen as a very juvenile hobby. It was not seen as a solid career move by your significant other. Nobody looked at you and said, wow, this is going to be a very financially stable person that can raise my kids. So it was a very unsure time. Selling the business, in addition to the revenue, it validated things for me. So it gave me confidence. So now when I'd go to like a networking event, I didn't have to make up this 2-sentence long description of what I did. So I didn't just say eBay or Amazon. Now it was like, yeah, I sell on eBay or Amazon. Like, I dare you, like,
Yeah.
tell me something. So with this newfound confidence, single, recognizing what flirting was, I just hoard around Miami is what I did for a little while. And I just bought things that are out of character for me to buy because I'm not into materialistic things. And at one point, quickly, I realized if I kept doing this, I would be broke by that time next year.
Okay.
And I didn't want that. So the only thing I knew how to do was Amazon. And I didn't say, well, I create brands. I'm really good at creating brands, because it's hard to, even though it's hard to refer to the insects as a brand of products. I still hadn't had experience sourcing physical products for a PL brand. And but I knew how Amazon worked, and it worked totally different then than it works now, and it'll work totally different next year than it does now. But I knew how it worked, and I decided to partner up with a few people who saw my success. And we started a beverage chilling company. So whiskey stones and all these different things that would chill your beverage, like corksicle stuff and all that. And it was a combination of starting our own brand as well as reaching out to brands that we saw were not even on Amazon. And so that would be wholesaling. And we'd reach out to them and they'd be happy to sell to us. And they were shocked at the volume we did, because they were accustomed to selling like a master box to a store that might carry their stuff, whereas we were buying pallets of this stuff. And my business exploded. It just exploded. The PL side of things quickly reached, again, like 12 to 14 million. The wholesale side of things hit about 14 million.
You're
14
talking
to 16.
revenue per
Gross
year,
revenue.
right?
Gross revenue, yes. Gross revenue. And it's important to note that I did not have the foggiest idea what my profits were. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing. And that's scary. So I just knew money was coming in. I was wealthy. I was able to pay for stuff, and that's it. But what started creeping in was that I'd pull up to gas stations with, whichever girl I was with at the time. And I would cycle through the last 4 numbers of all my credit cards in my head. And it wasn't for points. It was for which one would not decline at the gas pump. Right. So imagine that. Imagine having, at this point, it's like 4 businesses, like 2 PLs in each one, a smattering of wholesale in all of them. And we're pulling some big numbers. And I was a real jerk back then. Like, you couldn't have a sentence. You couldn't have a conversation with me without every sentence me at least alluding to I'm some sort of millionaire, because there were millions cycling through. And it went to my head. complete opposite type of person than what I am now. And I had a business partner pull some shady stuff. I go to a friend and I'm like, hey, look, I can't lose my millions. I need to get a lawyer, but I need to make sense of this. Like how much, how many millions are we worth?
Mm-hmm.
So this person, fortunately, to this day, I don't know their background, but they did know how to get numbers and make sense of them and plug in things like cost of goods, just all kind of things that I had never heard of. And at the end of a weekend and a lot of pizza, he tells me, Carlos, he goes, the good news is you don't need a lawyer. The bad news is you're not a millionaire. As a matter of fact, you're broke. What you are really good at is moving money and not making money.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what, is there a difference? You know what I mean? is there a difference? And that was a game changer for me.
Oh my God. And like, what did you do then? And how did you even get cash?
I did what I've done several times over the years when confronted with like a nasty learning experience so some people take for granted. I have a GED. I walked out of elementary school. Now I'm always learning stuff. But when it comes to like bookkeeping and accounting, what I learned is hire the right tools and the right people. That's it. Like I just realized it's not my thing. I hate it, but it's critical to the success of my business. But in other aspects of my business, things like cash flow, we take for granted. Interest on credit cards and factoring that in. If you're maxing out your credit cards and you're just carrying that every month, what is your true profit on a product? Just simple things that I didn't know, then. Whenever I was confronted with a situation like that, moving forward, I call it peanut butter and jellying it. And I just realized I'm in trouble. It's time to peanut butter and jelly this. And that is cut everything. And literally, in most cases, this was a literal thing. Stock up on peanut butter and jelly. If I was splurging, it was the $5 foot long in Subway. I had each day they had a new special. I had it memorized. I loaded up the veggies because I could split it into a salad. Like it was cut everything. And when you do that, each time it would take, depending on how severe the problem was, 4, 6, 8 months, a year. And you pull yourself out of it and you learn from it. Fortunately, a lot of my more severe instances like that one happened at a time when almost no one was selling on Amazon. So pulling out of it was sometimes as easy as, me going to a friend and saying, hey, can I borrow $5,000? I'll give it back to you on such and such, whatever. And they had already seen you do some good stuff. So you get this 5,000 and I could literally turn it into 15 in 5-6 weeks.
But like, if you run into such a situation, and by the way, I think there are a lot of people with the same problem, or moving a lot of money without, especially when you're growing, it's normal that you don't have a lot of cash, right? Because you reinvest everything,
right?
But like, what do you do in this situation? So you're moving tons of money, and okay, of course you can borrow some money, but like, what do you do with your existing sales? How do you basically sort this out? Did you reduce your product line or
yes,
focus?
Yeah, absolutely. At the same time that I learned that the major thing that I learned in that instance was cash flow. What cash flow is, that it was a term, that it wasn't a term. It's a term I learned to this day that you will always have to pay attention to and understand. It's a demon, The other thing that I learned there is that it's almost unhealthier. Like if I purchase $1,000 of a product and it doesn't sell, I'm out $1,000. But it's almost unhealthier to grow too fast and not know your numbers, because you're tricking the banks and your cards and your friends into this facade that you have, and they invest more in you, and you get saddled with even more debt. Whereas if you just ordered $1,000 and you got stuck with it, you're down 1,000. Whereas in this case, it wasn't that I was down 1,000. I owed 4 cash advance companies. I owed 6 different people. I couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
So what I learned is growing too fast is just as damaging. And I had to pare back massively on the lines and let them sell and get that profit. And I had to structure a plan that, fortunately, I had people around me that knew how to even structure them. I don't think I could structure one like that to this day. It was something that requires a brilliant mind and or some brilliant tools to plot out and get you out of.
How many people were you in your company?
At that time, there was let's just call it 3 business partners in each of the businesses, and we're at about 4 or 5 businesses. So it was about 15 of us.
Okay.
And with no rhyme or reason, none of us with business experience, everyone going in a different direction in life. Some people thinking, when the money comes in, let's calculate the profit. Oh, that leaves 3,000 profit. That's 1,000 for each of us. Take it out.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, like the minute of disbursement, there was disbursements going out to the other bank account, checking accounts tied to that bank instantly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened for a long time. And I think that's what happens with a lot of sellers to this day.
Yeah.
I see
Nobody
that
likes
the
when
new thing
people,
now
I
is,
hate it.
I do too. And what bothers me, I think most about it now, is we have a lot of people, I've cracked the code with Amazon and I've been selling for a year and a half and I'm an 8-figure seller. And I'm like, yeah, I've been there. I've done that. Like, let's do some really quick numbers. You didn't have cash. How much did you have to take on to scale that? So what realistically your 8 figures is right now is you're making significantly less than a school teacher and probably qualify for food stamps. Yet
Mhm.
you're giving this image that you have 8 figures and you have a mansion and a yacht and you're carefree on your finances. And it's just not the case. It's not possible. It's basic math.
Yeah. Okay, so go on, and what happened next?
I my next biggest mistake through the years was really business partners. Actually, I encourage everyone to read this book called The Founder's Dilemma by Noah Wasserman. And I wish somebody had like smacked me upside the head with this thing back then. But to this day, I have over 16 business partners. All we do is trade lawsuits with each other. It's very toxic. And the businesses became more toxic the more successful they got. It wasn't that we were dealing with failing businesses. So a recurring theme of mine over the years since then was creating brands and immediately partnering up with some business partners who had no complementary skills or no knowledge of Amazon whatsoever. They were just willing to put up a little capital with me and match. And I would say we're all equal partners. So there was no accountability. There was no org chart. There was no plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I continued doing that. And I just continued cranking out brands. So I've sold, I've exited a dozen brands at this point. I currently have 5 brands. My business model now, I have the live insects. I have a coffee accessory brand, which is pretty much on the way out. I have a food brand for trail mix. I have a wine accessories brand, and I think I'm missing one. But yeah, I'll remember it. And a cigar accessories brand. So I have those brands, and they comprise the brands 85% of my business, and 15% of that is still wholesaling.
So tell me, can you tell us some more numbers about
Sure.
your current situation?
My current situation on Amazon for the last 2 years, my partners and I broke 100 million in gross sales. The year before last, we did slightly better. Last year, we took a matter of 100,000, which I hate to minimize that and make it sound like it's not much. Some people's entire business is 100,000, and I think that's a huge success. The year before last, we had about an 11% profit margin, and last year we just hit 9%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so
last year we took a bath on the first quarter of the year. We had an issue with a new program Amazon had called One Vendor, and they forced one of our brands into this one vendor relationship. So we lost 3 months of sales on Seller Central until that picked up. But what we're paying less in fees now throughout the year brought us to about the same number. And then this year's going to be interesting. I don't know. I think we'll hit about the same, possibly even more, because again, I think we're at a net gain due to the craziness of the following year. Though I'll probably take a massive hit in gross, because I plan on removing. I'm getting a lot of lucrative contracts on the insect side of things to refine the insects into protein powders and inclusion into breads and stuff like that. But there's no market for that particular refinement in Amazon. And for me to really double down and focus on that and where the numbers are, it's going to require me to maximize the facilities that I have, which means stopping the live insect selling to the reptile owner to the reptile owner. I'll probably still keep a small portion of it to just fulfill for poultry farmers. I like the refinement process and for inclusion into fish flakes and turtle food, bird food, but the live insect port, which is a really high gross number, I'll probably stop next year, which will put a huge hit on my gross, but it'll do wonders for my profits.
Oh my God. So hold on a sec. You said 100 million gross sales?
Yes.
Did I get you right? This is 100 and then 6 zeros.
And a lot more zeros.
Oh my God.
100 million in gross sales.
I believe this makes you the largest seller on our podcast.
All right. I'd love to hear that. Well, you know what? I used to never, ever share my numbers. And I feel like and I really don't like sharing that gross number because I personally know it means nothing at all. So it means not. So, but what's happened nowadays is people like I organize an Amazon seller meetup group, largest one in the world. I do marketing consulting, like all these different things. And just amongst social media nowadays, if someone asks you a question and you answer it, it seems your gross revenues are your qualifications. And if you don't have these, what they consider now, I don't even think 7 figures is that amazing to people anymore. It's like 7 figures is not really moving the needle for anyone in an Amazon business anymore. 8 figures or higher. No one even mentions 9 figures, which is 100, but it is what it is.
I was selling myself before I sold my business, and I never got to 7 figures. So I wasn't a great seller, although it was profitable at any time.
Well, that's good. Nice. I have a friend who wanted to sell on Amazon, and his only goal was to make an extra like $1,000 a month I believe it was to supplement something to put his kids through private school. And to this day, years later, he makes about $900 to $1,200 a month in profit. I consider that person wildly successful. And they have a well-oiled machine. They know their numbers perfect, better than me. And the number doesn't mean that. The number for what is it? Revenues equal vanity, profits equal sanity. True statement. Revenues equal vanity, profits equal sanity.
Nice. So tell us more about your other businesses. Like you mentioned brick and mortar stores, and I know you have an agency, right? A marketing agency as well.
So I have, in the very beginning of Amazon, I also got a bunch of accounts suspended, and I would find loopholes to get reinstated. Fortunately, a few of my brands in the coffee space, actually, and the cigar space did so well on Amazon that I was able to get in front of the right people at Amazon and just say, hey, look, hypothetically, asking for a friend, if they had some suspended accounts, like how could that get fixed? So everybody laughed and they fixed everything for me. So I don't have any, axe hanging over my head for linking purposes. But it was a wake-up call. Like it never failed. I would get up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. You grab your phone, you check sales, and you see that dreaded, your account's been suspended. We're holding your money for 90 days. I apologize for the dog and kids in the background too. Just
no problem.
That just gave me such bad acid and did wreaked havoc on my blood pressure that it was just like I can't be one email away from disaster.
Yeah.
And I started getting a percentage of profits. And I would save them to invest in other non-Amazon related businesses. So it would open different, pet grooming stores, car washes, dance studio, just whatever the case may be over the years. And I also tried to look at them like saying, well, this store right here, let's call it a pet grooming store. And this pet grooming store right now is open. It now has fixed overhead, which is pretty expensive. And online, I don't have that. But on the wholesale side, I know that there's a lot of wholesale vendors that will not sell to a reseller online unless they also have a brick and mortar store.
Yeah.
So since nobody can get those accounts, and I now have that brick and mortar store, and it's legit. It's not, I'm not hanging a sign on the door and saying, hey, we're here and it's a cover. How lucrative would those be since there's less competition? And it's been amazing. It's actually been a very lucrative model on that side. So I would be able to create these stores, have them pay for themselves just off the wholesale products, whether anybody walked in or not. And then I was taking a step further and I was like, wait a minute. If I have this foot traffic here and I'm able to invest a great deal more in marketing because of this wholesale stuff and get traffic, how easy would it be to leverage this foot traffic into launching a private label product in that niche? So what started off as really just diversifying became an extremely lucrative way of doing business for me. And that's really been my model over the years in launching products is, I'd love to, if possible, start a brick and mortar store, leverage all the wholesale accounts I can because I have the store in that niche, and then launch a private label product based on the traffic around it.
Nice. Yeah.
So I have those stores. I also, about 9 years ago, I started, I have 2 agencies. One of them is Amazon specific. So Bluebird Marketing Solutions provides, A to Z services on Amazon, whether you're getting started, need to find a product, PPC management, SEO, product detail page creation, full account management, that sort of thing. And then almost 4 years ago, I started the Wizards of Amazon Amazon Meetup group, which has turned into the largest Amazon seller meetup group in the world. We meet 18 times per month, 5 in Spanish, 13 in English. Now we're on Zoom, obviously.
But before that, it was a physical, right?
Oh, yeah. And we'll be going back to that in a couple, I'd say in about a month when I feel safe to come back out.
Where is it located?
South Florida, Miami, Florida, Broward, Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, cool. We'll put the links in the description, by the way.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I can't wait. You know what? I can't wait to have you back on on my podcast either. I also have a podcast, Wizards of Amazon. It was actually, it's been the podcast that's done better than any of my other episodes, actually.
Seriously? Oh, I'm very happy to hear this. Anytime.
Yours and there's an app called Glorify app. It's like a Canva alternative, if you will, but for e-commerce sellers. I think it's an amazing app for design. Your episode and the episode with Omar from Glorify, just neck and neck.
Oh, nice. Thanks so much. Look, I'll check out Glorify for sure. Wow, Carlos, this is an amazing story and it's very, very motivating. So thanks a lot for sharing. Tell us, where can our users find you other than the links that we'll provide in the description?
Some of the easiest ways to get a hold of me, one is I share my number. I mean, nobody uses it, but it's 305-902-1283. Text works a lot better.
Okay.
I'm very active on Instagram at Wizards of Amazon. I'm really trying to grow that profile. So I'm very active over there. It'd be an easy way to get a hold of me. And then all day long, I started an Amazon seller group chat on Telegram. It's very, very active, and you can reach that by going to amazongroupchat.com. Okay. And you'll find our Telegram group. So it's extremely active, and you can just tag me. And I'm there.
Very cool.
It's on my screen right over here to the left. It's open all day.
Nice. Look, I'll definitely check out your Instagram and Telegram and the podcast and everything else I already know. So the links will be in the description, guys. Thanks so much, Carlos.
Yep, definitely. Thank you so much, man.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If so, then please press the like button, subscribe to our channel, and let us know what you think in the comments. I'll see you in a week. Good luck.